Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'm trying something different. I'm trying a different setup today. So I'm going live a little bit early because I'm nervous whether it's going to work or not. I'm routing my audio. I can't explain it, but I got a new application to route the audio so I won't have to use my phone. So I just want to get the spaces pulled up on my computer here, and then hopefully it works. And let me know if you guys cannot hear me, because that would be a thing. That's thing one. Can you guys hear me? And then we got to make sure that you can hear the spaces call, because otherwise I got to scrap the whole thing and put up a phone like I have been doing. So we're just going to chill. We're just going to hang out for another minute. And I am doing spaces on the thing of it is I'm trying to do spaces on my phone, on the computer too. So, and that can be a little bit problematic, but I'm not hosting. So that should lend itself to it working better, I hope. So just let me know if you can hear me. If you would, please. All right. Had a good stream last night with Superman on the Kryptonite show. That was a blast. And, there are, I don't know. It's like I saw new people in there on his channel. People that I had no idea existed and that hold the Gray's currencies. So everybody's got their own little tribes, but it was cool to see new raving fans of the Gray's currencies. I made a discovery yesterday too. A numbers discovery. I'm going to see if Zen has any idea the answer. But I actually posted it on Twitter, so it's actually been made public. Oh, while we're chatting, hey guys, I'm writing a book about the Gray's currencies. It's gonna be lit. I have the manuscript out to a couple of people to review it, and then we're gonna edit it. And while they are doing that, I'm creating art for the book, Aliens in Grayscale. It's totally fun, and it's totally easy. Not easy, but with AI, it's just incredible. I'm using AI like every single day. All right, let's see. It's time. And I better pull up Twitter because sometimes I get messages. Or not Twitter. Telegram. The other T social media platform. Okay, are we working? I'm going to reach out. Bear with me, guys. Let's see. On. I've got the spaces pulled up. Reminder is set. Oh, here we go. Speaking directly. Good morning.
What's up, Banana? How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yay. Okay, now I got to check and see if the people on YouTube can hear you and me. So, yeah, new setup. I'm hoping I don't have to use my phone. And then, it's the one guy in the chat provoked me to finally do this. It was my name is, I don't care what my name is, that gentleman. So I'm hoping this.
What do you end up doing?
I'm using a software called, I forget. It's BH, like Blockhead or something like that. I don't remember. And then it's on my computer and it allows me to manipulate the audio to where it's all routed to where I don't need to, because I have been putting my phone up to the mic, right? But I literally had AI walk me. It found me the software, and then it helped me set it all up on my computer. So I'm on my desktop, which is not optimal for spaces, but this allows me to, not have to, babysit a cell phone while I'm while I'm live on stream.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds cool.
It just needs to work. It's cool until it don't work. So somebody on YouTube, please let me know if you can hear me and Zen. How are you doing?
Good. Just as I'll probably do another reminder in a little bit, but I think the Pulsicon store is doing another giveaway today.
Okay.
For some t-shirts. I think the logo is the combined logo, the pTGC UFO combined logo.
Yeah.
Last time they let 200 t-shirts be the giveaway, but this time it might only be 50. So if you are someone who wants the free t-shirt, and it's not technically free, you have to pay the $10 shipping and handling fee that they have, but it's a pretty good discount, I'd say, on a t-shirt compared to what t-shirts go for nowadays. So
I need a new t-shirt. Yeah, so let me know when that goes live. You gonna drop that in the Telegram?
yeah, they told me 10 o'clock Eastern time, which I think is
Right now. Okay. What's the URL? Or are you gonna drop it in the chat?
It's here. I'm gonna put it in the Telegram right now.
Okay. 3, 2.
I know it's live right now.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been posted by them yet. I think they said they're gonna post it right now.
Okay. Ready, set, go.
I just threw it in our Telegram. If anyone wants it, it's just something I'm doing with someone who has a store. They also give away Pulse Chain t-shirts and stuff like that, Pulse X t-shirts. I don't know if you can put multiple t-shirts in one shipping. That would be cool if you could I know they're giving away like a Pulse X t-shirt right now. I don't know if you could put the multiple free t-shirts in one cart and then still just pay the $10 shipping and handling.
Oh,
so then
yeah.
It would be like $5 a t-shirt. That would be kind of cool. But
yeah, you can only buy one. I'm on the site right now.
Well, I think I know you can only buy one
at a time
pTGC t-shirt, but you might be able to go to other items. Like I think obviously one of the reasons they're giving away the free t-shirts to our community is because they want to bring people to their page, right?
Okay.
To possibly sell more stuff. That's usually why people do promotions. So which you don't have to take advantage of their other stuff, but technically there's free pTGC and UFO t-shirts on there right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm picking one up right now. Okay. That's not the color I picked. Just hold tight, guys. And I still need somebody to answer on YouTube. Can you guys hear me? And Zen. Hey, I've got a trivia question for you, Zen.
Shoot.
Do you know how much, take a guess, how much combined volume between pTGC and UFO we comprise of the volume on Pulse Chain for like the last 6 months? Combined volume, pTGC and UFO in a percent of all the volume on Pulse Chain for like the last 6 months. You have any idea?
Like daily, like if you break it down, our total 6-month volume and Pulse Chain's total 6-month volume.
Yeah, an average. An average for, yeah.
I would say 1%.
You're very close. 1.3. 1.3%.
That's pretty good.
I'd say. Okay. So this, I'm gonna stand on this one. We hold a whale position in volume between pTGC and UFO on pulse chain. We're a whale.
Yeah, it is interesting because fiat transaction tokens tend to have less volume due to the thresholds for the market makers. So I do find it quite impressive that we're able to still be over 1% with our threshold being decently high. You know, that it has to be a 10% difference. You can see on non-fiat transaction tokens, the volume is usually naturally higher just due to the fact that market makers can fix prices a lot easier. So I'm actually pretty happy with that 1%.
Yeah. But it's a heavy one. It's like 1.3, literally. So let me get my eyes on, because obviously that's an average, but let's be realistic about it. And I'll tell you what it is for like in May. Okay. So it just might take me a second. It's something I'm building into my spreadsheet. It's a new thing because I want to track it. I want to see us take a bigger piece of that volume. Okay, so in May, pTGC was 0.5%, and I think UFO was 0.15. Give me a second. Yeah, 0.15. So in May it was 0.65. But if you go back to, actually, we're going back to, give me a second, August. If you go back to August, which was 0.3, the average is 1.3. The highest was 2.4 combined, and that was in January. Let's actually see the highest and lowest for UFO. Do you find this interesting?
Yeah, I'm thinking out loud or in my head right now. I think the recent months are probably dragging down a little bit because a lot of the volume last month was due to a specific ecosystem that was forcing their own volume. And I assume that's getting included in the data. But if you remove that forced volume and you're looking more at just the natural volume on chain, I bet our percentage is higher. And that's probably why it got decreased a little bit.
Okay, that is true. I just want to be real and not like, I don't mean this on
like the numbers in their favor.
Yeah, and we can do that on the side, like you just said. But to be real, you know, and it is what it is.
I just know I was tracking a few days sales for a week ago now, and they were taking up 90%. Like one specific system was taking up 90% of the volume. So
I know
that's included. That's obviously really decreasing our percentage.
Right. Yeah. So the reason we want to be real with the numbers is we don't want them doing the same thing, like saying, we hold a whatever percent of the network volume as long as we exclude pTGC and UFO. Let's play fair, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's 1.3%, guys. pTGC and UFO hold a whale position of the volume on the entire network. Let's keep that up. Okay, so in May, UFO's volume was 0.15%, which was the lowest, but in October it was 0.22, and the highest was 0.97 in January. So this will be very interesting, Zen, going forward to watch the network volume increase and then see what percentage of the Grays currencies, that our percentage of the volume is. I think that's very exciting. We'll just track it from month to month.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see if pulse chain starts moving up here soon. I'm interested to see what the liquidity of pulse chain does in the future. know with our system, we're going to be constantly increasing our liquidity. Literally every transaction increases our liquidity, at least with PLS. If the Dow favors a little bit of liquidity in the future with RH's tickers, maybe new tickers, maybe stable coins more near the top, or maybe not even near the top, just once Pulse Chain is out of like the trenches.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if there is incentives in the future to provide liquidity near cycle tops, or once Pulse Chain gets out of this hole it's in. And if there isn't, I really can see our liquidity system taking over a good portion of the chain and owning a good portion of the liquidity on chain, especially if there is no incentives to keep increasing it.
Yeah.
Which then should give us a greater percentage of volume over the chain. It's kind of where that was leading into.
Did Mando just jump on?
I think so.
Yep, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Mando. Good morning. I've got a trivia question for you. I already asked that. Just bear with me if I have a little fun. I'm excited about a metric I just discovered. Did you hear the conversation about volume?
I literally just jumped in.
Okay. Do you care to take a guess how much of Pulse Chain's total volume the grays comprise, pTGC and UFO?
You're going to have to give me a little bit more metric on that. Are you talking about 24-hour volume?
Okay, yeah. Total volume going back about 6 months, just averaging it all up for both Pulse Chain and then pTGC and UFO.
I don't
No.
care to say on that. Off the hop. I just woke up.
Okay. Sorry, that's really not fair. But I think you'll be excited about the results.
What is it?
1.3%. We are 1.3% of the volume on the Pulse network on the average, going back about six, I think actually 8 months, that's whale position.
Wow.
Hey, that excites me.
That is actually very, that's some clout.
Okay, well, good. We're clouting, dude.
Yeah. And then the other metric would obviously be the amount of on-chain real liquidity in LPs versus everything else, because that's the other metric that matters even more, like real money on chain.
Yeah. Yep, that'd be another good one to compare. These little illustrations, they're good for getting in front of people that are thinking about getting exposure to the grays.
Yeah, I just spoke with a gentleman from Australia last night who is about to purchase a dolphin position to start.
Right on.
And I spoke with a large Latin Bitcoin influencer who called me up yesterday. She had a business trip in Panama, and then he called me up and he said, Mando, I'm done with the centralized stuff, crushed it with Bitcoin, want to learn the DeFi stuff. So I'll be onboarding him next week on the Pulse Chain, and he'll be taking a position in pTGC. Brand new to the DeFi space, but he's a huge Bitcoin guy in the Latino market.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be a good one.
Good time to get in,
Well, that's the point, Look, at the end of the day, there's nobody that I'm telling, hey, this is a great time to get in, where, hey, you can't, it can go lower. But the truth is that the risk is much lower now. And I don't think that people realize that. After the SEC win and the fact that we're basically at triple bottoms, the risk is way lower now than if it was higher of price. So, take that with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, it is the best time to start telling people about this blockchain.
Yeah, we're at 8.7 pulse per pTGC right now. I don't know when's the last time we were at that level? Yeah, let's see.
I think it went down to 7.71, but big whales down at those levels they can't take it anymore, and that's when they start buying it up.
Yeah, that was at the end of April. So yeah, it's good. It's a good time. Good time to get in, or dollar cost average.
What I've been looking at this week, Zen, is just the amount of pTGC tokens that have been taken off the market by the system itself, like over the last 6 months, and in very low volume, velocity. It's a lot, man. I don't know if you've got that number, but the system has bought billions and billions and billions worth of pulse chain off the market and just burned it.
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but I do feel fairly confident in the last 3 months. It's definitely over 10 billion pulse worth of pTGC bought and burned from the product from the DAO alone. That's not even including the automated function within pTGC, and then also whatever UFO has done as well. And then, you could take that back 6 months too, like you're talking about, and it's a very large amount. And in the total supply, it might seem like a fairly little amount, but you kind of have to look at the total supply, like what percentage of that supply is not re-entering back into LPs. I think the number is higher than people think. We have like 40% of the supply locked right now. And obviously any amount of that could come out at any time. But I do think it says something when people show in code in the smart contract that they're willing to lock it up and kind of separate themselves from those funds temporarily. They might even have passed their threshold of being able to lock, but a good majority of the people, since the system doesn't force you out, I think are sitting pretty comfortable right there and are willing to see what the protocol can do over 4 years, and then right when they exit, it's just to move on without them. So, and then the other thing is I 100% agree with you. Me and Banana, I don't know if you were there, Mando. We were specifically talking about the other day is, you know, our spaces, our VCs, and even Banana's AMAs, which Banana's AMAs are pretty much start to finish, like entry to advanced, getting into pTGC. But what we tend to forget is the entry level that he's technically going through is pretty advanced. And it's really tapping into people that are
testimony, and how you even learned about crypto, and how you learned about Richard Hart and Hex. How was it? You learned about it because a friend of yours who got involved with Hex gave you a freaking phone call. And from that one freaking phone call to a friend, right, was birthed one of the best founders and one of the best protocols on Pulse Chain.
Got it.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, right?
when he reached out to me, he knew, you know, obviously I was transitioning from more traditional finance to crypto finance, and I was mainly just in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And when he found that out, you know, it was just a friendly conversation of like, hey, look, you should look into taking this a step further. And obviously that sparked like the last 5 years of my life. You know, a huge portion of the last 5 years of my life. And did he know when he was educating me on Hex that he was technically creating someone who would become so passionate about this industry and about, you know, financial freedom? He absolutely did not. You know what I mean? But that's just me individually where I took it. And you never know when you're going to onboard that person, right?
100%. And so I'll say this. I think that personally for me, the message isn't Richard Hart and Hex, and it's, you know, there's a statement in the Bible. Don't only have your own interest in mind, but have other people's interest in mind. Hold those people's interest in mind above your own. It's basically paraphrasing, right? So it's not about Richard or Hex or what the thing you're in and getting them in or anything like that. It's about reciprocity. It's about education. It's about, hey, if I have 10 buddies and none of them are in DeFi, why? Do I think that their family could benefit from them having that education? 100%. Do I think that they'll all do it? No. But can I offer at least to show them what I know because I love them and because they're grown men and they can, or women, and they can make their own choice as to whether or not they want to learn this new way of potentially changing their life or adding income to their family? 100%. Is it about Hex? Is it about Pulse Chain? No. But I'm on Pulse Chain. I'm passionate about this network. I want to grow it. And so, yes, if you want to come in, I'm going to show you how to do it on Pulse Chain. But if you don't like Pulse Chain, you can go to Sol. You can go do whatever you want after I teach it to you, right? So it's more of a benevolent onboarding of people thinking, hey, there are so many people out there that don't have a clue about what we're doing. And we're in this circle jerk war for no fucking reason. Pardon my French. There's no reason why we should be listening to Jim Rat Crypto shit on Richard Hart, who left through the entire bear market and comes back just complete naked. The guy shouldn't even have a voice. Like, freedom of speech, yes, he has a voice. He can speak all he wants. Or any of these, like, who cares about these people, man? They're irrelevant, literally irrelevant. There's no real world utility to that whatsoever. These people, you think people like that are going to stop a global blockchain? That's freaking laughable. Okay? So what we need to do for those who want to restart the next phase of the pulse chain revolution is to start outbound messaging again, to start having belief in what you've been doing again, to start realizing that there are so many people that, yes, they would benefit from learning what you know, but you're not telling them, right? And yes, if I'm going to be teaching them about this, I am going to be onboarding them to Pulse Chain. I think that you buy when blood's in the streets. I think that you buy when everybody is fearful. I think that it's less risky to buy at all-time lows than at all-time highs, right? And yes, if I'm onboarding them to Pulse Chain, the first thing I'm putting them in is the Grace currency. It is the only thing on Pulse Chain that is proven to deserve my capital. That's just a fact at this point, outside of the course. So I just put that challenge out there, guys. I'm doing it. I'm not just saying I'm doing it. At every person I'm talking to, I'm letting them know. It's kind of like an accountability thing. So I'm not just saying something, I'm actually doing it and then showing somebody else, leading by example. But I think it's time that we reset the freaking room.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mando. I think that is a good direction that we can go as far as personally and as the pTGC community is really focused on educating people on the basic principles that we believe in and why we're here in blockchain, right? And I think by doing that, we're doing good by others, and it probably has a direct correlation with doing good by pTGC and educating people on pTGC, because we use pTGC in so much of the conversation and it has so many of those basic features built into it. So it kind of just works hand in hand.
Yeah, it's like make Pulse Chain great again. You know, make whatever great again. Make crypto great again. Like just a funny way to say it, but that's kind of the mind space I'm in. I'm done with the bullshit on X. I'm just done with it. Like, we all know who has been here from day one. I have been here from before Hex. We all know who has stuck through the entire bear market, through this whole journey we've been on. We know who the real OGs are. We know who's been in the trenches. And not that matters from one vantage point, but it does matter in the sense of who you should be pressing the mute button on. Not everybody deserves your ear, right? And there are a lot of good people out there that actually would love to learn about Pulse Chain right now. And we need to realize that at this point. And I'm going to mute out for a few.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I even think some of the people who are being negative right now are very valuable community members. I just think this market has really financially maybe even hurt a few people, and maybe they risked a little bit too much, or just they feel misguided at times. and wish they played it differently. I tend to try to not count people off, even if they're a little bit of negative for months at a time, because I think the market kind of does that to people. And I think the best thing that we could do as a community is, in these times where you see large amounts of the community obviously being very disgruntled on the internet, you know, via Twitter, is just kind of give them their space, let them vent a little bit, because sometimes that's all they need to do. And when we, as the people who aren't venting and just kind of working hard and grinding, as we keep working hard and grinding, a lot of those people are going to come back. And for me, I'm someone who, yeah, I remember who's been here grinding and who hasn't been talking negatively, but I'm also someone who doesn't want to burn bridges with people we've worked really hard to onboard in the pulse chain, and really keep that bridge built. And when they are ready to come back, when they're done venting, when they see that this is that's going to thrive, being willing to accept them back in and not, you know, holding people to this standard that is really, really hard to be held to. I think it's a hard to be held to remain bullish on a chain and on a person when the thing's been going down for 5 years. I'm remaining bullish. I'm remaining on Richard's side. I refuse to talk down on someone that delivered an amazing product that is just an extremely unique foundation for us to build protocols, for us to just hold his tickers. But not everyone is going to fall in that line, and that's okay, right? Not everyone is going to fall in that line. I do think that over time, when we get this chain moving back in the direction, not as right as a community, because it's part of our responsibility. He gave us the best foundation to work with. I look at Pulsion as the best opportunity for a founder right now, right? The ability to build a protocol 20x, and if Richard does a 20x, well, that's a 400x to pTGC. You do not have these opportunities on other, with real decentralization, with the ability to have large liquidity in the sub asset. But since the blockchain has minimal liquidity, we don't have to sacrifice the liquidity of the protocols and still get the X's. I don't think everyone's seeing the picture like I see it and other people see it. And it's okay, right? Like they're venting a little bit right now. It's definitely a hard environment. I wouldn't take them to the cleaners. You know,
no, well, my point is that, right? Like, if you listen to what I said, right? It's not about that. I said freedom of speech. Everyone has freedom of speech, but right now it's about who are you going to give your ear to? It's about mind share. It's about the environment that we're in currently, right? If all you're going to be is the vente guy, venting and grumbling and complaining, fine. That's not going to make you any money, and that's not going to make your blockchain price go up, and that's not going to make your favorite meme
100%.
And that's not going to make the things that you want to happen for your stuff for your life go up. It's not. So
it isn't.
Right. So that my point is
it's kind of like when you have a hard job, right? Like, and that job isn't going as planned. You've seen people who get really mad and frustrated and start throwing things, and then breaking things. Well, that literally moves you in a negative direction. But then you have the people who take the breather and say, okay, this isn't going as I planned, still going to get the job done. You know what I mean? And yes, it takes a little bit longer. Yes, it takes a little bit more energy and a little bit more mind share. But when you just buckle down and get the job done, you get through it and you say, it's done. We did it. We're through it, right? And there is those two different type of people. Like I'm sure you've seen it in any working blue collar, white collar. You run across difficult hurdles, and there's some people who do crumble, right? It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just
do you remember a while back you had on your crew, you had your main guy, and you guys ran into some massive structural issues or something that happened, and because they changed some stuff, and he was just getting totally pissed off, and you had to take him off the job. You remember that? Well,
happens to me all the time.
That guy was showing up every day, and he cares about the work, and he was getting pissed not because he doesn't love the work, but because he's passionate about what he's doing, and he's showing up every day. And these guys are screwing everything up by changing all this crazy stuff, or maybe he made a mistake.
Yeah, it could be both, right?
But that's different from the guy. That's different from the guy who didn't even show up to work for a year and a half, comes on the job site and just starts talking shit to you about it. It's not the same thing, right? Now, all I'm saying is we don't need to be giving mind space to people who aren't showing up. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with the lack of mind share, right? I think part of the problem is people tend to give more attention to that crazy, or I wouldn't even say crazy, just that venting behavior. And then it just causes them to keep venting more and more and more because it's boosting their algorithm and they're getting, and it's just, for me, I think it's best just hey, look that way and focus on your own job,
Yeah.
What's up, Trevor?
What up, dudes? I just sitting here listening, man. It's crazy. It's not just this space. It's a lot of them, man. It's a lot of the, as far as just the general temperature of not even just pulse chain, like the entire market. For me, I mean, I'm not some expert. I'm just a participant. All that kind of stuff. Don't listen to me. But from my humble opinion, I just genuinely believe that this is like a market thing, and people are grumpy, dude. They're just grumpy. They're sad. They haven't 100x'd. We're approaching Q2 of 2025. I remember some of the most and still most highly respected investors in my peer group that I just highly respect. These guys have been, some of them are very, very talented with charts. Some of them are very talented with predicting just market sentiment and their plays and things like that. And quite frankly, none of them expected Ethereum to be where it is right now. None of them. So, it's okay. It's okay. Go look at my tweets, dude. Y'all know, everyone knows, I am diehard, man. I believe in Richard Hart, and I'm with you, Gray. Like I think what he has made is just incredible. And if you're a founder, if you're a decent founder, like Pulse Chain's the place, man. Go build. But price performance across the board on a lot of assets has been kind of bleh. You know what I mean? Yes, Bitcoin's like going up and whatnot. Bitcoin's done pretty good. Bitcoin leads the pack all the time, man. You know what? That's kind of what we expected here. But I think it's an overall market thing. And as far as like people on X, look, man, I've got my good days. I've got my bad days. No one is immune to, I don't care who you are. I don't care how cool you think your profile pic is. I don't care how long you've been in this. I genuinely don't. No one is immune to these moments in the desert. You know what I mean? Where you're just putting one foot in front of the other, one foot, and just begging for a glass of water. That's what it feels like in some of these moments. And for as much hype as the Pulse Chain has had behind it, and just dedication and heart, I mean, the community is crazy, dude. So of course, in a moment of when things are the core coins specifically haven't really performed as expected, but we know they will. Like I personally believe they're going to do absolutely amazing. And but in these kind of seasons, I think it's just important to remind ourselves, man, that it's just a market thing, dude. It's going to take time. And as far as giving these other guys voices, look, man, there's some real idiots out there that this, like you're mentioning Mando, and I don't care. I'll call them out by name. I really don't care. But these guys literally, you got to think it from their perspective. I don't care how big their bags are and stuff like that. A lot of them, quite frankly, if we want to go that route, I would be willing to bet that probably in the upper 90% plus range, most of them have very, very small bags, all things considered. That's the reason their voices are so loud, is they're looking for that affirmation, right? They're going on the internet and they're going, oh my gosh, it's shock value, and I can get these, and they don't understand that there's other investors out there that have, quite a bit more invested, and that sentiment can affect their investment. And whereas these guys are watching their $100 and $500 go down a little bit, then, add a few zeros on that, it can sting for guys who really care about the ecosystem. And so I just think it's important, man, to look at these idiots and just, like you said, freedom of speech, but it's also freedom of mute. I have the freedom to I have the full freedom to listen to you And I also have the freedom to make you shut the fuck up if I don't want to hear you. And we should both respect that. Both parties should respect that. And so, you know, it is what it is. I've muted so many people, dude, recently. I mean, I've gotten muted by a bunch of people, you know, whatever. But I think it's awesome, man. Great. Just, you know, the stance from pTGC, this is literally what got me in this freaking token, dude. And it was the class, the patience, the understanding, the community, like the founded on the Richard Hart ideals and all that, all of it, man. And I just think it's super, super important for this community to like still maintain that integrity in class throughout these tough times. But you know, I don't know, man. I think our day's coming. You know, pulse chain meeting, specifically pulse chain, and Richard's you know, gonna at some point steal the spotlight. I think he's gonna do some amazing stuff, and you know, I'm you know, but yeah, man, right now, dude, it's crazy. I just the people that I even thought wouldn't be like bearish or I'm not gonna say crack, right? That's stupid. Like you're human. You have emotion. You want to share that emotion. You share it publicly so that maybe there's somebody else out there that feels the same way. That's literally human behavior. So not gonna shit on them, but look, we all go through stuff, myself included. It's just part of it, part of what we're involved in here. So I don't know, man. I just wanted to kind of offer a little voice of peace, reason. You know, for me, recently, it wasn't even long. I'm on X all the time, dude. I'm the first guy to admit, like, I'm pulling up my phone, I'm looking at it, constantly looking at it, and it's my app of choice. I'm not on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, like, I love this app, you know, and it's fun. But for me, like recently, I took it wasn't even that big of a break. It was like 2 days, it was like 3 days. But I'm telling you, man, it was crazy how productive I was in real life. It was crazy how productive I was in my business. It was crazy how much investment I was able to give my family when they visited me during that time, you know? And so I would just challenge everybody, man, take a couple steps back. There's nothing wrong. Nothing's going to happen. You know, you're not going to miss anything. You know, so if you start feeling that weird, you know, come on, do something. The classic meme, you know, just turn your phone off. You know, turn your phone off. Take a little breather. Everything's gonna be fine.
And remember, when you take those breaks, that's when the conversations actually happen for onboarding. You know, when you take those breaks and you open up family and friends and you do things in real life, that's when everything happens.
You know what's crazy, Mando, is to that point. This literally happened to me 2 weeks ago. I'm not joking. I got an email, and even I'm not doxing, blah blah blah, all that stuff. I got an email from someone saying, hey, you know, I want to introduce you to so-and-so for a potential business opportunity. And this is, you know, in my IRL stuff. And I said, okay, cool, you know. And this guy, there's two people at play here. There's the connector, right? And then there's the contact that I had the meeting with. The connector was speaking to the contact and said, I want to introduce you to my friend Trevor, blah, 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 blah. And this guy goes, hey man, I don't want to sound weird or nothing, but this Trevor guy, he knew what industry I was in. He goes, is he in crypto? It's like he on X or whatever by any random chance? Is he tattooed and all this other stuff, you know, like entrepreneur guy? And he's like, yeah. He's like, dude, I know him. And so we hopped on, and this is like during my break, you know, of X. It was crazy. We hopped on a meeting, and it was very eye-opening. It turns out this individual is just a really, really cool dude, man. Like, we hit it off. We're buddies now, the whole thing. But he's like, I had to hop on, and he told me his old X handle, and I was like, dude, I kind of, yeah, I remember you. Yeah, of course. And he was like, man, I had to hop off. It just got so toxic and this, that, and the other. And he was like, man, you know, I'm much more present with my family now. I'm much more present with my wife and everything. But he's like, I check in every now and then. But and it was cool, man. We just had that moment, and we ended up talking about all the core tokens. We talked about. I was kind of able to bring him up to speed on a little bit of what's going on in the ecosystem, and come to find out, this guy's bags are not small. Like he's not some like low level participant, and it was cool, man. It was incredible. So like it was just wild. I took a couple steps back, And now this guy's going to start getting a little bit involved now that he's heard of all the legal clarity and all the bullish sentiment, you know? So I share that to say, I was in the trenches. I was feeling like, dude, this sucks. You know, what is going on with this thing? Blah, 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 blah. While there's this other individual who's just completely living carefree. And then we were able to come together, and actually it ended up being a very bullish talk. And now they're going to slow roll themselves back in and participate slowly. But it was crazy. One of the main points he said he had to get out for a little while was because of these KOLs, you know, these popular guys on X that
Perry stuff out.
Yeah.
Perry stuff out.
What's that?
Prairie needs to mute. He needs to mute himself out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I just shared that story to kind of encourage everyone. You know, we as participants on X specifically can be really, really just you know, ingrained when others. You know, it just take a step away, man. Take a step away, clear your head. But don't give these guys attention, dude. It's just ridiculous. Just click the block button and you're good to go. You know, so that's really all I had to share.
Love you, Trevor. You're a good man, man.
Yeah, I genuinely, you know, I believe in this chain, man, and I believe in what Richard's built, and I just genuinely do. I just do. So, you know, if you want to be, you know, bearish, and that's what I was saying on the X space the other day. I guess maybe I'm just a glass half full kind of guy for the most part, but I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand why some of these guys will join these spaces or whatever, and literally with the sole purpose of just being negative. And the way they present it will be like, well, yeah, it's very matter of fact. And I'm like, screw your matter of fact. You and I both know you're just sad. You're just sad. You're trying to. You're just sad, you know, like when green candles come.
Well, the thing is, guys, is it's a very sleight of hand way of doing it. It's a very passive aggressive sleight of hand, kind of sly, and for them, they're just laughing at you, right? Because they're just getting under your skin. But the reality is that there's never been a better time to actually start onboarding the next generation to Pulse Chain than right now. It's not about what's happening on X anymore. It's not. It's about onboarding the next 50,000, 100,000 users to Pulse Chain, brand new into DeFi. That's what it's about.
Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. But I'm here for the long haul, man. You know, I see guys in the audience that I just highly respect. You know, RG, I see you, dog, and you know, Mike. We've had great Prairie, like all you guys, man. I'm excited to see kind of this next wave, you know, and you know, it's weird. Sure, it's a little weird. We're embarking on Q3 of 2025. Like I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud, just because I remember being in 20 and 21 and being like, you know, man, 25 is our year, dude. By 25, you know, like, and then here we are. We're like, shit, man, we're down, you know, like, but it's fine, whatever, man. Things don't go according to plan sometimes. Sometimes if it's God, whatever you believe, you know, personally, I believe in God. Sometimes God has different plans, dude. Sometimes, you know, sometimes the market has different plans. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way, man. But ultimately, just stay the course. Stay the course. Like, do not deviate away from your convictions. If you're convicted on a specific token, if you're convicted on a specific ecosystem, you know, stay convicted, man. You know, don't deviate, because that ruins your reputation, all that kind of stuff. It's just never good. It's not good for your mental health, all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, man, I just wanted to come up here. I really, Gray and Mando, like specifically, and Prairie, I really enjoy these spaces. This is such a breath of fresh air. I love waking up on a Saturday morning with nothing to do, grabbing some coffee, and just enjoying these pTG spaces. Like you genuinely, there could be 5 people in here, and I'm just listening. Maybe I'm cleaning around the house or something with my headphones in, and I can't speak or something. But I just want you guys to know, man, that in a market of blah right now, like these little spaces are kind of just little diamonds in the rough for for me, mentally. And I love them, man. So thank you guys for doing these. I am going to kind of step down and just kind of listen, but I'd love to see some of the other homies step up and speak as well, man. There's a lot of cool people in this space right now. And I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Trev.
Yeah, I'd like to tap onto a few things Trevor said, and yeah, thanks for coming up, Trevor. I always appreciate you coming up, putting your 2 cents in here. It does mean a lot. You're talking about the Bitcoin, Bitcoin at all-time highs. I think one thing we all have to remind ourselves is Bitcoin is at all-time highs because companies and governments are taking large positions in it. It's not from general public retail at all right now. Actually, general public retail has been selling their Bitcoin to governments and companies. So yeah, it's at all-time highs, but it's not from retail coming into crypto. And I think ETH's chart kind of speaks that. So yeah, it looks like, bull run, because what you see in Bitcoin, everything else is a little bit of a different story. So we have to definitely take that information in and be realistic where pulse chain should be at this point based on that information. Also, I wanted to chime into sometimes things just don't go to plan. And that's kind of what I was talking about the, work side or job thing, is a lot of people did think, we're going to be people who were blatantly in the opposite situation. Pulse chain is at all-time lows. That's fine, right? Sometimes things don't go to plan. The thing you have to ask yourself is, do you have conviction in pulse chain? Do you believe in pulse chain? Do you believe in Richard? If the answer is no, then yeah, I can see why you may for it. But if you actually believe in pulse chain, if you believe in Richard, you believe in the products that you hold in your wallet, this is just a detour, right? And really what it comes down to is just buckling down and saying, okay, this job is not going as planned. It's a community effort, and we need to just keep working in the right direction. As Trevor said, 1 foot in front of the other. As we did 1 foot in front of the other, and trust me, I know it's been going on like that for 4 years. We've all been here, but we will get to our destination. We will get to our destination.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to put that out there is, things don't go to plan. Are you going to throw a fit about it and give up? Or are you going to keep putting 1 foot in front of the other until we get to our destination as a team? When we get to our destination as a team, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be amazing. We have so much unique protocols on Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain alone is a unique protocol with maximum potential. We also have sub protocols like PTGC and UFO. If Pulse Chain is successful, pTGC and UFO will have more liquidity than pretty much any protocol that ever exists. We'd be pretty much knocking on the doors of top 50 protocols. These are very, very unique opportunities, and great opportunities don't come at a cost. It takes hard work and risk, right? And we're in that right now. So, kind of look what's in front of us, look where we are. Like Mando was saying, if there wasn't a better time to onboard someone into Pulse Chain, it's right now. Clear from the SEC, getting close to what we believe should be a bull run on Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain's at all-time lows. Literally, you could have sacked for Pulse Chain 4 years ago and gotten a way worse deal than you can get right now, this close to the time where we should be going forward. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and it's the way you do it, right? You don't go and tell people, oh, you're gonna go make $5 million if you. No, it's a realistic. I want to teach you something that could potentially change your life. You just have to decide what you're comfortable with coming in. Basically, kind of paying a small tuition to learn, to get educated. It's not going to take a lot of time, and once you have the skill, you can use it for the rest of your life, right? It's not a big deal. And technically the approach is agnostic. It's agnostic. It's not about Richard Hart. I believe in what Richard Hart built, right? I believe in decentralization, and I believe in blockchain technology, right? I believe in the community that is here. I truly believe that we have a massive, amazing group of people all over the world that are a lot more aligned than X seems to personify. Okay? There's just voices that kind of trump sometimes in the algos. But in terms of being agnostic, like I was saying before, Zen, you know, right now, there's so many people struggling. There's so many people that have no clue how to do what we do. And we care about those people, right? I'm talking about specific people within our sphere of influence. It's not about making them exit liquidity. It's like what RG was saying again the other day. It's about onboarding the next generation of users to this technology from all over the world. There's just so many people that are just waiting to get the phone call, just waiting to get that invitation to learn something new, right? And if it's not us, then who? And if it's not now, then when?
Yeah.
It's really just fundamentally that, you know, for me. I had to check myself a few days ago and just say, man, you know, I've been so blessed to be a part of this thing. And, you know, if not now, then when, right? It just really comes down to that. And obviously it's an agnostic thing. You can learn about this on any chain, on anything. But obviously, for me, it's about Pulse Chain. It's about building the Pulse Chain community around the world, and that's what it is. So I wanted to just put myself out there today. I've been showing you, Zen, that my activity is not, I'm not just saying that, I'm doing that, right? And I think it's important. I think that, you know, having a shift, especially amongst the people who have been here for a long time, that we know have been here for a while, just reach out to that one person that, you know, whatever you believe in and puts it on your heart. Hey, maybe he wants to learn, right? We can, you know, it's like give a person a fish, he eats for a day, teach a person how to fish and he eats for a lifetime, right? It's kind of like that. But I do believe that the risk is much lower now than it's ever been, given the political environment that we're in now, the regulatory environment that we're in now, and post SEC win. It's just a great time to get involved in this space, and specifically with Pulse Chain. So just want to encourage people to just, you know, regenerate and get out there and start telling a couple people. And specifically the pTGC, man, have you been watching pTGC since day one? This system, this protocol, this suite of smart contracts, man, there's nothing like it. It's absolutely astronomical, in my opinion. And if Pulse Chain turns around, when Pulse Chain turns around, it's going to be the first thing that people are like, man, those guys killed.
Yeah, I agree, Mando. Right now, just money's been leaving the crypto market, the Pulse Chain market for a while now, or at least staying stagnant. When value starts flowing back into risk-on assets like blockchain, Ethereum, Pulse Chain, right? Ethereum's up a little bit, but not much. But when value starts flowing through the bridge and on the Pulse Chain, when value starts coming into PLS, we've seen in the past what that does to the pTGC system. We've seen what that does for the Pulse Chain system, right? Like we ran the numbers with the amount of liquidity on Pulse Chain right now. It takes $10 million to send Pulse Chain up like 10x. Think of how little $10 million is on a community of like, you know, 20,000 people, or, you know, however big you want to call the Pulse Chain community. It's absolutely nothing, right? And imagine a lot more than that, which a lot more than that is very, very easily possible. Well, realistically, how these things work is when money starts flowing into Pulse Chain, a good portion of that value is going to stop at Pulse Chain, and a good portion of that value is going to go into other sub-alt tokens. That's what happens when money flows into a network. You know, some of that on Pulse X, some of that value is going to land on Inc. Some of that value is going to land on PEX. So the assets that are connected to Pulse Chain, obviously they get the X's from Pulse Chain moving up, but then they also get X's due to the assets that the value that flows down the line into the sub assets. So, you know, I do believe pTGC and UFO, they strategically set themselves up for maximum potential. All Pulse Chain needs to do is have a little bit of value flow into it, and that's on us, right? I hear so often is, you know, when is Richard going to do this? When is Richard going to move value over? And I agree, like, you know, we obviously hope some of that value comes over, but think about how little amount of money it takes as our community to change the sentiment on Pulse Chain. $10 net positive over the bridge and into Pulse Chain is a 10x. Our community can do that. Obviously, sell pressure that we would be pushed into, so maybe we don't get that full 10x, right? But our community can cover a ton of ground as far as Pulse Chain goes, as far as onboarding. And if we can onboard at these levels, it goes back to the saying, like, a good sailor, you don't create a good sailor from smooth seas. So if our community can onboard people with a chart that looks like what Pulse Chain looks like right now, think about how easily our community can onboard when the chart is starting to work in the right direction.
Yeah, but you know that's 100%. But let's also give thanks. Let's also give some kind of light to the reality that there has been amazing things designed on Pulse Chain because of the ability to do what Pulse Chain allows us to do, that have put people into thousands of X, that have put people into hundreds of X. At the current price of pTGC, I mean, if you got in, you know, in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of pTGC, or the first 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, I mean, you're sitting on between a 350x, a 10x to a 350x. So in the environment of Pulse Chain, the ecosystem of Pulse Chain, it's not just about the dumb pipe like Richard talks about. It's about what's happening on Pulse Chain, what is becoming available as an investor to get involved with on Pulse Chain, right? There are things that are already making people wealthy now in a very unfavorable time on Pulse Chain. So when you take all of those realities and you kind of compile them, when you see that, yes, there's the casino group of people, there's the meme coin group of people, there's the tinfoil hat conspiracy, Atropa PDI is going to $1. I don't have a clue how, but it's going to go there, people. We love all these people. We need all these people. There's the very serious financial product protocol type environment, like pTGC's ecosystem. You know, it's, you know, the Gray's Alien is our version of the Gecko for Geico. It's a perfect setup for mass adoption with something like that, right? It's not just about the cores insta going up. It's about what's being built. It's about the city that's being built. It's about the things that are becoming available for people to participate in on the chain, right? And that's what brings people to the chain. So, you know, let's celebrate the wins too. Like, I only hear about the negatives like 98% of the time. There has been people's lives, families' lives changed on Pulse Chain already.
Yep.
That's something to celebrate, right? It's not just all negative. There are people's lives that have been changed already. So
you know, we need to keep a balanced approach and a balanced mindset to what's actually happening on chain. The SEC win was a massive positive thing, not just for our community, but for all of crypto. That came from our community, from not just Richard's efforts. Richards can't do this shit alone. It's from our efforts. It's from everyone who's been showing up, everyone who contributed. These are all positive things. And we just, it makes no sense to live in an environment where you're just negative. You're not showing up and recognizing the amazing positive things that are happening in the community and in the environment that you're swimming in. There's a lot of positivity happening. And I just think that there's just way too much focus on the negative because the cores aren't going up in your exact time frame that somebody thought there was a, you know, I don't remember there ever being a plan. I don't remember there ever being a roadmap. Pulse chain didn't come with a roadmap. It's decentralized. You don't have anybody promising you, you know, anything. It's a no expectations environment, right? There was no expectation of anything. So the fact that it's here, the fact that it's done, it's been deployed, the fact that we won the SEC case with merit, phenomenal. The fact that there's tons of people's lives that have been changed as operators on chain, the fact that there's tons of things that people can get involved with that have already changed their lives, and we're just negative. It's like, no, it's time to stop that shit. We got to start moving forward. And I think really that's what Richard's messaging has been lately. You know, it's like, guys, like, it's all, I think that's what that dog in the sand was too, like the other day. It's like, guys, I'm looking for, where's that positive energy we used to have? You know, I'm digging for it. So anyway, I want to make sure that we do understand that there is positivity happening within our community, and it's worth recognizing it.
Yeah, I think one big thing to pay attention to is value that's flowing into Pulse Chain, right? That value, obviously, I think a lot of people will use a portion of their portfolio to speculate for quick gains. But a lot of times when you're speculating on risky assets and quick gains, you're just handing over your beloved Richard tickers or PLS, the gas token, to users who plan on exiting that PLS off chain, right? The whole goal of a lot of systems that are created on a blockchain is to get the value out of your wallet into their wallet. And Richard made a post about this, and I just kind of want to bring it up, is the safest place for your net worth to be is in your custody, right? And when you're in high risk assets, your net worth is out of your hands and is technically in a very risky, volatile LP pool. And I know that's where tons of gains are made. Like, and that's cool, right? But I do think everyone needs to kind of rewind a little bit and make sure they're not becoming too desperate with their, you know, with their portfolio, because when you are getting too desperate, you are handing over your assets for a dream, and 99% of that dream disappears, right? Because they're just getting after your funds, which then leaves you with the thing. And that's not only not helping your position because you just lost your funds, but it's also not helping the rest of your position that you still have in the core assets, because you're giving away core assets to people who don't see the longevity of Pulse Chain. And they're taking that and they're just exiting right off chain, right? To where if it remained in your custody in the first place, right? So we are onboarding, but if we're not onboarding and educating people properly, and they're not holding on to a decent portion of their portfolio, those funds are rotating to people who are just exiting that value anyways. And this is every blockchain. This isn't just Pulse Chain, but Richard did make a tweet about that more recently, and I think it's important to bring up is, hey, PLS is extremely cheap right now. And every time you give it up and lose it, a lot of the time value isn't even staying on chain. Not only you lose it, but it also left the chain, making it hurt the rest of your bag. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's a difficult place to be in, and PLS is very, very valuable. PulseX is very, very valuable. pTGC and UFO is very, very valuable. And be realistic with what blockchain is. 99% of protocols are invented to get after your value, to get the value out of your wallet into their wallet. So be careful, especially with things so low and going into a bull run. There's going to be a lot of shiny objects, and there is the 1% that actually want to change, want to be a legitimate protocol. There is that 1%, and I know people are hunting for it, but just remind yourself, 99% of that stuff is literally just to get your PLS.
Yeah, is there anybody that is raising their hands to come up or would like to come up and say something? Or are we just clear with that?
No one's raising their hand right now.
Yeah, I'm talking in terms of like looking right now. I'm kind of looking right now on Pulse Chain while everything is quiet for like the truffles, like the cream, you know, that nobody's looking at in the different categories. I'm finding a lot of really cool stuff. There's always stuff that I'm finding that like I didn't even know existed on Pulse Chain. It's you know, and I like live on Pulse Chain. There's always new stuff to find. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's kind of like I'm taking positions here. I'm taking like what I call dust positions in a lot of things, because I think that when there's a turnaround, those dust positions will actually turn into quite a lot of value.
Yeah.
But I will say that when I'm talking to people and I'm onboarding into Pulse Chain, you know, one of the things I ask, even if they're on Pulse Chain, I'll say, you know, what has proven to deserve your capital at this point on Pulse Chain? What deserves your family's capital? Because we're not here strictly to gamble, right? And if you think about what has proven itself out, obviously, in terms of price performance, the cores are doing what they're doing. That's a standard market cycle, you know. But when you ask that question, for me, there's just not a lot. There's just not a lot right now. You can find a lot of great deals as a speculator, but there's not a lot of things that have proven themselves on chain yet. It's still just a very early chain, but now is definitely the time to be really taking a look at those things that have proven themselves out. And I believe that the Graze ecosystem, as a true cryptocurrency deployed on Pulse Chain, is the #1 asset on Pulse Chain. That's my core belief. So when I'm onboarding people to Pulse Chain, that's the first thing I'm introducing them to. It's the first thing that I'm helping them get a position in, because it gets them a position in everything that's good on Pulse Chain by proxy, has everything built into it. It exposes them to Hex and Gate and Pulse Chain and everything that is proven itself to be kind of a blue chip on chain, or the best forms of speculation on chain. And to me, the simplicity is important. When you onboard somebody new, you don't want to vomit 9 million things onto somebody, right? You want to make it simple. You want to get them in, show them what it is. And like I said earlier, the reason why I really love using pTGC, not only because it's proven itself, but because when you start learning about pTGC, by default, you get introduced to the categories of DeFi that matter the most, right? Not your keys, not your coins, self-custody, liquidity provisioning, liquidity pools, yield. staking. I mean, it's literally like an all-in-one approach to giving somebody new a crash course into all the best parts of crypto. And then they are able to own everything in one coin on Pulse Chain. So to me, pTGC is the biggest no-brainer on Pulse Chain for onboarding for all of those different reasons.
Yeah, I think the index factor of pTGC is, you know, obviously indexes are one of the biggest financial sectors in standard finance and traditional finance. Look at what the index is, S&P 500, et cetera, and how big of the market share they take up. As far as traditional finance, it's massive, right? So it makes sense that indexes on a blockchain would be also a huge sector as well. By one, you hold all, which is just very easy. And obviously for people who just step into traditional finance, like they land on the S&P 500 because they don't know what to pick. And I think pTGC definitely taps into that market very, very well. And it's also done in a unique way to where it's not like you're giving the funds to a person and then they're buying all those assets and selling it into a wallet somewhere. They actually are providing LP with those assets. And due to us knowing how LP bonding works, when an asset that you're connected with moves up, the asset that you're holding moves up as well as the other connected asset in the LP pair. And what's super awesome about how we've designed this unique system that's, I don't believe, ever been done before on another blockchain before this, is when prices are moved, to generate revenue off of the market fluctuations. And then that revenue is a fee sharing system with all of the holders of the community. So it also has APY written within code, but has the ability where a portion of that value that's being generated is going 100% back to the community in other ways, like buying and burning the supply, which we all know a hyper-deflationary supply with buy pressure constantly on the chart. It's very, very important because it taps into the basics of supply and demand, reducing supply, increasing demand. And then also a portion of it is going into increasing the liquidity, which liquidity is very important for multiple reasons. But another reason it's important in our system is it's the value generation source. So the value generation source is constantly growing and growing and growing, which means the momentum machine is growing as well, making it to where it's generating more and more and more over time. It's a system that's never been done before. It taps into the easiest ideas that's existed in crypto or in finance, indexes. Indexes in pretty much all markets work really well. Diversification is really good. But then it also taps into the things that we know give things value, right? Having scarce supply, having a lot of value backing it. Like these are the things that have given gold value. This is things that have given Bitcoin value. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're using a lot of the same basic ideas that have given other assets in the world, other things in the world value. And we're just bringing them to blockchain, bringing them to Pulse Chain. We're adding the air and rubber around the wooden wheel, you know? So I do agree with you, Manu. I think the possibilities of where pTGC and UFO can go is like limitless. The foundation is so set. We are on a blockchain that is down 70% right now. Like the upside potential is absolutely insane. Do I know what the upside potential is going to be? Absolutely not, right? I think it's dependent on the community. I think it's dependent on how our bonded assets do. Pulse Chain, PulseX, Most, Inc, Hex. And I think it's dependent on how much net flow value flows into Pulse Chain from retail. Also dependent on how much net value flows in from possibly SAC money and stuff like that, right? The future is going to tell. I think with a few things lining up here with the success of Pulse Chain, pTGC technically can become one of the most valuable assets that exist in the world, right? And I know that's bold to say, but when you look at some of the features that it has included, it's some of the features that have stood out in value forever. And on top of that, if you just look at some of the basic ideas, we already have like 10 million in liquidity in the assets at the bottom. With just a 10x the pulse chain, that's 100 million in liquidity. Some people think that pulse chain will 100x. Well, if we just keep a similar ratio, we don't even do any X's over it, that puts us at $1 billion of liquidity. And that's where I mean is like the ability to create protocols right now, the ability to get into a system like pTGC right now could be a complete flop. Everything could go to zero, we could get no adoption of pulse chain, or it could be one of the best opportunities that's ever existed in our lifetime. And that's where the risk to reward stands. There is risk here, right? But the reward is absolutely massive. And what Mando was saying earlier, what is the risk here? We're already at the bottom of pulse chain. It could go lower. Stuff could just keep going down infinitely. But risk to reward is absolutely insane in my opinion. And personally, I think product market fit and understanding supply and demand principles, like we have it like nail on the head with this protocol. Personal opinion and obviously biased opinion, since I created it, but I do think we have so many of the boxes checked that most people are looking for. Just most people don't know it exists, and if they do know it exists, they're just, maybe known about it too long and just don't want to buy higher, or they're afraid that, maybe pulse chain isn't going to do what they believe, or maybe they think that people are in too many games already and they don't want to get in after them. I don't know what it is. I do think if you break it down, it hits the boxes everyone's looking for the most part, unless they're here to just gamble on 50K market cap tokens.
I've got the perspective of a new buyer, and I've been listening to I saw Grace Currency from the beginning, and but I was in the process of migrating value off of Pulse Chain, not entirely, but mostly over to Ethereum, and then really grounded in Titan X. And so a few things, since I've started to really listen and pay attention, and I did because I got airdropped a clone called Eros, which is a clone of pTGC, like a number of other of the clones. And what I said last time I was here, I was like, there'll never be another pTGC. It's really it's the first mover. And so and that index token idea is it's a great one for like the person who I talked to this week about pTGC. So how it works is like, and that's why what Wanda was saying is like it really is about, especially in the environment where we have right now with so much distrust. So I'm telling you, off the charts distrust for and so DeFi prides itself in being trustless and permissionless, and that's not how humans are, right? So humans make decisions based on who do I trust, what voices, what protocol, what code, and so it's really word of mouth. And so what happened this week is, and I think this is where most of the new pTGC buyers, long-term people, not people looking for a quick buck. Yes, they will come over. I think that Titan X is coming over. We are interested in collaborations, right? And in LP wins, right? Because that's what is unifying for Pulse Chain across all, and so the index tokens, what I did was, I have a friend, now he followed me, and let's call it the sacrifice set of people, right? I don't know how many of those wallets are like my friend who sacrificed 4 years ago, and until I called him up, had never opened up his, had never looked at it. Okay, and he sacrificed a good amount of money, not into Pulse, but into PulseX. So he's now holding a ton of PulseX. Right now, in terms of dollar value, it may not be, what he put in clearly, but when he asked me, well, what do I do with it, right? And so I said, oh, and this is just because I've been studying, I've been listening to you guys, I've been seeing that if someone believes in pulse change, so let's assume that if someone, and he said to me, does it matter that there's regulatory certainty with the, and I was like, hell yes. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and even more than the Interpol thing, the regulatory certainty that Pulse Chain and PulseX and HEX and Richard are not targets of the regulators in the US is huge, just in terms of the certainty for capital. And the person I was talking to isn't TradFi. He's one of these business development guys for, a finance institution. And, so this is how these people are thinking. They're thinking, okay, does it matter that there's regulatory certainty? And I said, absolutely. He was like, well, why is the chart so low? Why? And I was like, well, it's hitting a bottom. It's near the bottom. It's been a tough 4 years. And capital has drained out, and that's what's happened. And there are some fundamentally sound indicators that say to me, the pulse chain is the most undervalued layer 1 on the planet, and it also has the most decentralized validator set and set up for almost anybody who wants to figure out how do you, make pulse by validating. So anyway, long story short, I said to this guy, keep a third of your, and this is just me, and in some ways, like, people want me to tell them what to do. And I say, no, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you what I would do if I had your bags. And this is what I would do if I had his bag of PulseX. I said, all right, a third of it, just hold it, because PulseX is a deflationary asset. I believe in it'll be there forever. Richard's not going to let it die, and it's not even Richard. But that PulseX, he's definitely controls, right? And so this guy says, well, should I be holding Pulse or PulseX? I was like, look, hold what you have. Don't move unless there's a better opportunity. He was like, okay, how do I go up the risk curve? And I said, pTGC is next, right? It's the blue chip index. And this is what I learned from you guys. I said, hey, okay, I got it. It's the blue chip index and Pulse chain. And he said to me, he was like, well, what's a blue chip on Pulse chain? I said, well, you've got to look at their LP web. He's like, what's an LP web? And I was like, well, okay. So the point is he said, I got it. If it's an index fund and you tell me that it's secure and you tell me that it's going to, at least in the up market, I said, look, in the up market, it has beaten Pulse. In the down market, it's beaten Pulse. I'm not telling you it's going to, but I'm just telling you, if it were me, I'd do pTGC. He's like, great. So then I said, all right. So he's like, well, what else is there? And this is where I think, so what I told him is,
before you keep going, I don't know where it's heading, but definitely keep the conversation pTGC and Pulse. That's what these spaces are.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's 100%. Because I was like, okay. I told him, I said, I don't know. I said probably UFO only because, there's pTGC and UFO. I said, but I don't really know because, it's too, uncertain for me. And that's the thing I think that you guys probably have that nobody. The solid foundation of a culture that's led by a developer and led by a DAO and has a treasury and that isn't going anywhere no matter what. That's the thing. I don't know, how to say it anymore, that it needs to be a magnet. Even though, yes, it's like outbound calls, it's more like pTGC and UFO have to be a magnet for all of the uncertainty in the market. And that's it. That's really all I have to say is that, I also think that for the newcomers on Pulse Chain coming from Ethereum, and there are lots, and there's going to be a lot more. For the newcomers, we need a guide. Now, I know Pulse Chain, so I can do it, but I'm telling you, even people have no idea what's going over here. And so the more that you guys can make it very simple for newcomers to provide guidance, especially as an index fund, I don't know, somehow, like, it would have been great for my friend if I could say, go look at the index fund online. Go look at it. It's easy, right? And I couldn't find it. He couldn't find it. Really, you got to look under the hood. You got to know where to look. Maybe talk to the DAO. Know how to read the blockchain and see where the LPs. Now, maybe it is somewhere, but I didn't know where it was. And so that's where he's like, all right, show me the index fund. Show me what they're invested in. Show me how it works, and then I'm willing to buy it. So that's the last thing. Is like, if there's an index fund for newcomers, it needs to be very visible and very accessible, and like the thing that's the magnet. And now I'll shut up. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because, yeah, I think sometimes we assume, and we were talking about this earlier, that, you know, even in Banana's most basic AMA, like walk through how to get into pTGC from start to end, like, we believe was the entry level thing, but we tend to forget that even that is advanced, right? That's actually advanced in the grand scheme, because we will talk about our index, right, and our liquidity web. And first of all, no one even knows what a liquidity web is. We like are the inventors of this idea. And then on top of that, no one knows where to find it. To where I think instantly, I'm like, oh, you can look it on bank.com, and you can type in pTGC, and you look at all of the liquidity pools, which literally shows the amount of value that we have shares of each token. You can go on to Dex Screener and type in pTGC, and it will show you all of the liquidity pools and how much we have in each liquidity pool. So we know exactly where to find them. But we've been here for 2 years. We're the creators of this idea. So where anyone we're telling about it, they don't know where to actually find this data, and we need to make it more clear.
Yeah, and as a crypto native, I know where to find it. I know how to put in pTGC and UFO on Pulse Dex, and I know Dex Screener, and I know how to do it. But for someone like me, who is talking to friends, right, and now they're looking and totally lost. Trust me, they're totally lost. And I sent them where they need to go, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm not going to do it for them. I'm going to have them. It's beyond do your own research. What it is right now is position for the bull run. At this point, people are they're waking up. A lot of people have not looked at, even though for you all who have been on Pulse Chain and been brutalized by the market and still done well, right? Props to you, and I feel the same way. Like Titan X was brutalized, but now I'm doing well too. But the point is that for newcomers, the index fund, like once you make that visible and accessible, I do believe people say, "Oh, I get it. I see what you're invested in," and that's where the transparency of the chain, I think, will be a natural magnet for people that understand the idea of the index fund and the sharing protocol. Like that's what people understand. Like just to reframe LP web, because I've had to do this too. Like what traditional finance is marketing to people like this guy that I talk to, what they're marketing is yield. Okay, yield. Like yield instruments, and they don't tell you how they're getting yield, but it's basically what our liquidity web is doing. It's leveraging the volatility, it's using our bots, it's creating yield. What pTGC has also is a fee sharing, like a feed in and a fee out. Now, that's the one thing my guy didn't like. He didn't like it, right? He didn't like it because he was like, oh, it's a tax, I don't like it. He said, well, it's not a tax, it's a fee. And he was like, well, why do I have to get a fee? I was like, because that's how the system works. And it promotes long-term holders, and it sort of, in order to get into the system, you have to pay a little bit. But then you also know that it's like the fees are going towards what the Dow tells you it's going towards, right? Anyway, I'm just telling you, I've learned a lot about pTGC recently, and I am starting to talk about it, and I'm seeing where the holes are, because it's time. It's not just onboarding. It's like putting it out there. It's like Field of Dreams, and you got to put it out there, and then people will definitely show up for it. So thank you for the thought.
Yes, because I really appreciate you as someone new coming in, and obviously someone who understands crypto already, but talking with people who understand but are not as advanced in what they're seeing, what we need to provide to help them understand the system. Because a lot of times you're talking amongst people who have been in the protocol for a year and a half, and we aren't too people need to see and want to see. So thanks for bringing that to our attention.
What's the time it look like then at this point?
I gotta shut it down soon.
Okay. Prairie, you got anything else, man?
No, I don't. It's been fun listening to the conversation, though. I'll tell you what. No questions in the chat over here either.
Did you get confirmation that they could hear you, Banana?
No, I did. Actually, yes. Sorry. Yes, I did.
I was just seeing if it was working or not. So we got confirmation that was working.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think it was a good space today, Seth. A lot of good mindset, a lot of good just recalibration information. So appreciate it.
No, I appreciate everyone coming in. I definitely think we went over some really good topics, but at the end of the day, I'm very, very thankful for how everything's functioning with pTGC. The system's been running great. Our community's been doing great. I don't think if anyone didn't realize yesterday, Banana did 2 YouTubes yesterday. One with CryptoCom, one with Crypto Night Show, which, Banana, thank you so much for putting in some overtime and just doing so much for the community. I just wanted to put that out there. It's not overlooked, and I can tell the community is so thankful for what you're doing right now. So I wanted to say thank you on behalf of everyone for doing those 2 shows in one day yesterday. On your one day off of shows, which is funny.
It's all good. I appreciate the thanks, but it really is my pleasure. I'm working for my bags, dude. Really. And the grace. I mean, they're worth bringing people in, like we were talking about earlier in this space.
Yeah, we have so much to lean on with this protocol, and that's what the protocol has been designed to be. Is the crypto world is so volatile. There's so many things changing. It's ever evolving. I believe pTGC is that rock that everyone wants to lean on and is looking to lean on.
Yeah.
With the ability to be trustless, with the ability to be deflationary, with the ability to have APY built into it, but then also have the ability to adapt with the ever-changing crypto environment constantly. Crypto will not be the same 4 years from now. So if your token is a long-term play, if your asset is a long-term play, and you can't evolve with the market around you, you most likely will get left behind in the next market. I think this is one thing that gives pTGC a really standout situation about us, the community will do whatever it takes to try to still remain relevant. And I think that's very, very important, along with the things that are written in code that are automatic, like the fees or the rewards, right? The APY is automatic, the deflation is automatic. The LPs are for, there's so many steady things that we can lean on as part of the community. And it's a great thing to onboard people to. Like Mando said, even though there is negative things around us on PulseChain, there is hundreds of things that we could count that are not negative on pTGC and UFO right now. And people just don't know it exists yet. So if you have anyone in life or in crypto that you think might be interested in like this, I completely understand it is more difficult to get people into a protocol when the blockchain is a little red, when the protocol is a little bit down. But that also is the best time to get people into the protocol. So, you know, you're technically helping them out by having a more tougher conversation with them. The last 2 times PulseChain has been at these levels, when PulseChain has moved up, the first time was like a 5x, the second time was a 3x. pTGC has moved up 45x's in both those instances.
Mm-hmm.
That is no guarantee to the next move up, but what I have seen in the protocol is the momentum is building, the supply is decreasing, the APY is growing, the LP is growing, the holder count is growing, and PulseChain seems to be timing the market to a big move on this next go. And I hope PulseChain moves this next go, because that's going to amplify our system. And doesn't, we know what the pTGC protocol can do on its own, which is just really a breath of fresh air.
I agree, and that's why I brought up the fact that started a new kind of round of in real life onboarding at this point. Like
If I don't recall, I think that's kind of what sparked the real last big push. Is I think we kind of buckled down and started telling some people, and I think we onboarded a few people who had a little bit of a voice on their own, and they kind of onboarded a few people, and momentum started to build. And next thing we know, we're moving up on PulseChain and moving up pretty darn good on pTGC too. So I do think, like you said, Mando, it's, you know, our destiny is in our hands, and it's up to us to create it. We can stand back and kind of just twiddle our thumbs and wait for someone else to do it for us. Or like Banana was just saying, or we can work for our backs a little bit and try to educate people on something we believe in and trust.
Awesome. All right, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to take off and go enjoy the rest of the day. And thanks for everybody coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
See ya. Okay, now I gotta go do some troubleshooting because I was streaming on the wrong channel. I hope I never do that again. That was stressful.